Hi, boys and girls. Did you know that God created the heavens and the earth and all that they contain? God saw everything He made, and God found it good. Now, if God created everything, does that mean that God made rainbows too? It does. When you think of a rainbow, what comes to your mind? Do you see all the different colors? Is a rainbow beautiful to you because of all the different colors? Does a rainbow make you smile? It makes me smile. I wonder, what would our rainbow look like if I removed any of these colors just because I don't like them? Let's see. What if I don't like the color red? Is our rainbow as special as when God made it? What if I don't like the color orange? No, I don't think I'll like the color yellow. Wow, I don't like the color green. I'm going to get rid of it. Oh goodness. Is this the rainbow that God created? Is this even a rainbow anymore? I don't think so. I think the rainbow is beautiful, just as God intended it to be. Oh, isn't that beautiful? God made such wonderful works. Now, if God made everything, including our rainbows, does that mean that God created people too? It does. God said, "Let us make man in our own image and likeness." And so it was. God created man and God created woman. God created male and God created female. God created people that live on this side of the earth, and God created people that live on this side. God created tall people, and God created short people. God created people with gray hair. God created people with no hair. God created people with blue eyes, and God created people with brown eyes. God created people that can walk, and God created people that cannot walk. God created people that can see, and God created people that cannot see. God created people that can hear, and God created people that cannot hear. God created old people, and God created young people. God created people with darker skin, and God created people with lighter skin. God created everyone. God saw everyone He created from the beginning of time until the end of time, and God found it very good. Now, I wonder, what would our world look like if we all looked alike? dressed alike, thought alike, ate the same foods, played the same games, listened to the same music, worked the same jobs, do you think our world would be boring? I think it would be boring. I think it would be very boring. But guess what? God didn't make our world to be boring. No. God made our world special because God made you to be you and me to be me. God made everyone to be individually unique and wonderfully made. Did you know that the Bible tells us that God said, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb or in your mother's tummy. And the Bible also says you were wonderfully made. Wow. We all have individual gifts. But when we put our gifts together, we make the world a better place to be. It's even more beautiful than rainbows. I wonder what our world would be like if I just decided that certain people didn't belong. Wow. Would our world be as special as God intended it to be? I don't think so. Now, Jesus, who is God, who is the King of all peoples, taught us a very important lesson one day. Someone asked Jesus, Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Or what must I do to go to heaven? And Jesus said to him, You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind. And you must love your neighbor as yourself. Who is our neighbor? Jesus told us who our neighbors are. Everyone is our neighbor. Whether you live close together or you live far apart. Whether you're dark skinned or light skinned. Whether you walk or whether you cannot walk. Whether you see or whether you cannot see. Whether you talk the same languages or you don't talk the same languages. Whether you dress alike or you don't. Jesus tells us that we're all neighbors and we're to love each other. But sometimes people don't listen to Jesus. Sometimes people think that they know more than God. So sometimes people decide that they're not going to like somebody or even a group of people because they look different than they do, or they dress differently, or they talk differently. Sometimes they even take it a step further and they treat them unfairly. And sometimes they're even mean. And we know that this is called bullying. And we know that bullying is not right. Well, adults have words for this type of bullying. When you don't like a person or a group of people because they're different than you are, and you treat them unfair, that's called discrimination. or if you treat somebody differently because the color of their skin is different than yours, that's called racism. And we know that discrimination and racism is a very bad way to think, because we know that Jesus tells us that everyone is our neighbor, that we're made in God's own image and likeness, and we need to treat people the way we want to be treated. So let me ask you, what does a neighbor look like to you? Are they neighbors? Are they neighbors? Are they neighbors? Are they neighbors? If you see somebody that's being mistreated, or that somebody is being done wrong, how can you be a good neighbor to let them know that you shouldn't treat somebody differently because their skin color is different than yours, or that they talk differently than you talk, or that they have a disability or special needs? How can you let somebody know that that's not being a good neighbor? Can you take a couple of minutes with your parents and talk about what a good neighbor looks like? Thank you. See you soon.